Guys, I got a quick PowerPoint for everybody, my Marsteller work crew, because we're trying to make some changes, and these PowerPoints are about the best way I have to disseminate a bunch of information at one shot to all the people that are going to get affected by it. And it's basically this time of year, we're trying to get ready for a busier season than we've ever had before. And so part of that process is rebuilding our systems and our roles to account for these new changes. And so this is video one of what these we're working towards as we move into the busy spring season. So let me get over into my PowerPoint slides. First is that we're going to talk about this is a presentation on roles, and these roles are built for whether we're doing, a little bit of business or a whole bunch. But this is going to define our who's responsible for what each individual role has goals, and define that goal for everybody. So we're going to talk definition of roles, we're going to talk goals, and we're going to talk responsibility. And we're going to go through each one of these one by one. The AM1 opener, the inventory manager, the cutter cleaner, the retail manager, the buying maestro, and then the AM/PM assistants. So let me just go over why we're doing this. Why are we changing? So we're getting more dynamic. We're going to have more pack list, more wholesale orders, a busier retail, and we're going to need to bring untrained people on board to help us with this workload. Without clear roles, responsibilities, rules, and goals, we're all going to have a hard time figuring out how to execute effectively as a team. So defining roles and putting responsibility and accountability on those roles is going to help us do that. Why now? Well, because you know what? Easter is the kickoff, and then every weekend from here all the way into the summer season, we're going to have events, and it's going to challenge us. It's going to stress us. It's going to stress our systems, and so it's a good time to basically make a few simple changes. It's going to help increase our effectiveness as a team so we can do more business, get more customers, decrease negative stress, and hopefully create a more fun work environment. What do y'all need to know? Well, here's what you need to know. I want everyone that's working, you should know the role you're playing for that day, and you should know the responsibility and goals of that role for that day. So when you go to execute your responsibilities, do it like you mean it, and you should know what you're accountable to during the day. And add a little something extra to every Fish House team shift each week of learning the roles, being flexible for changes. And if you're not sure, ask questions, because rebuilding systems like this takes time. We don't know exactly how this all going to work, but we got to start somewhere, and we're going to make changes as the weeks go by based on the feedback everybody gives to everybody. Role number one, this is the AM opener, and this is going to be someone's got to be trained to do this role. They've had to work in the Fish House for at least, I'd say, 6 months. So most of everybody who's listening to this is going to be doing this job. And the AM1 guy is the first person into the Fish House. That's breathing life into what we're going to do for the day. He sets the retail wholesale day up for success by following an AM checklist. That checklist is the first part of the day. It's going to tell you everything that AM1 needs to do to set up, including AM side work. So follow your checklist, follow your side work if you're the AM1 opener. And every day has a different set of side work, but the process for the AM opener one is the same. And after the AM1 has done his checklist, he's basically kind of ready and willing to get directed by the inventory manager. We'll get into that role next. But you're operating off of a checklist, and then the inventory manager is your point of contact for how you're supposed to execute your day. The responsibilities of this guy is to open the doors to the Fish House, set up the day with perfection based on the checklist, and then you're kind of at the whim of the inventory manager what they need you to do, whether it's driving, point guarding, setting up wholesale orders, being the point guard for the day, etc. And the goals of this position are you want to keep your hands and mind moving seafood forward until your shift is over. So you're staying busy until that inventory manager releases you or your shift is over. And you're basically trying to be the second set of hands for the inventory manager, whatever they need you to do. And obviously, if anything, bring your positive attitudes to the day. You're there to help the inventory manager, and you're there to serve customers. All right, so let's move on to the next role. Okay, the inventory manager is the next person that's going to come in. So the opener, you're going to have your AM opener, and then the next person come in probably an hour to an hour and a half after the AM opener is the inventory manager. This is the kind of main AM person for the day. That's the pace setter. He's a coach. He's a numbers guru. He's always in the know with what he has to sell. So he's in charge of that back of the house fresh and frozen inventory, and he's always trying to sell it in various ways, whether it's through our retail, through the various retails in our organization, or wholesale pack lists. But he's got to be in the know of that inventory. He's got to have a great attitude, positive, because he's going to be coaching, directing people, and he's imperative to the daily operations of the team. He's responsible for the proper AM setup. So the AM1 is setting everything up, but he's overseeing that through his checklist during the day, it's always going to be set up on that daily checklist. You'll see who's responsible for what. And he's responsible for accurate and timely wholesale orders, retail pack list, product rotation in our coolers, and checking in new inventory. Inventory manager wears many hats, but he's always got a team of people to help him execute his responsibilities. So he must delegate tasks to his team, and his team is going to be not just the AM1 guy, but also the cutter cleaner. And if it's a busy day, he might have 2 or 3 AM assistants, an AM1 opener, and a cutter cleaner to execute everything he's got to do in that day. So he's answering phone calls and floating across all these things to making sure his people know what they need to do, and they're doing it fast and effectively. So some of his responsibilities: he's overseeing the AM retail setup. He helps create the first draft of the retail game plan, which we'll learn about in another video, but you'll see it. He already knows the inventory managers. These inventory managers are most likely going to be Brian and Brennan and Craig. Other people may need to fill in, but primarily it's going to be those 3 people. And he's also keeping the AM openers and the cutters cleaners moving forward efficiently to execute tasks. So it's his job to say, hey, I want you doing this, this, and this. He's kind of like a lead delegator. And he's going to be in charge of when the AM workers and the cutter cleaners are going to get cut, depending on how busy it is or what they got going on that day. But that's going to be you guys as leader. If you're working an AM assistant shift or an AM1 shift or a cutter cleaner shift, you're going to go to your inventory manager for the game plan. They're going to assist the daily retail manager with special pricing. So they're basically the link between the retail manager, who's likely going to be Mark, I think Mark, Connor, and then primarily Zach, but those 3 guys can work that AM retail manager shift we'll get into later. But they're basically communicating to that retail leader, hey, well, here's what's going on, here's what we need to move. He's kind of like the back of the house inventory communicator. He's also going to be floating across. If it's a busy retail day and he's got cutters cutting and all of a sudden we got a retail rush, well, that inventory manager is going to step in and help that retail rush until he can get back to his orders and processing for the day. So he's, like I said, he's kind of an overflow guy in addition to being the kind of coach leader. Also, he's in charge of checking any new inventory in, making sure receipts go into the way, making sure product comes in the way it's supposed to, iced, accountable to the numbers of things coming in. He's signing off on receipts and everything coming in. So his goal is to basically work off strategy to have a smooth day with his team. He's looking at his team resources. He's looking at the dynamics of the day, and he's pushing the pace to making sure people are getting shit done in a positive, quick way. And he's going to bring positive attitudes, obviously, because he's going to be communicating with a lot of different people. And our team should be always looking to help facilitate the inventory managers to game plan for the day. He's the king of accountabilities. He wants a clean inventory in the back, good communication, accurate orders, and always thinking smart strategy to execute for the day. So let's move on from inventory management. Next person is the cutter cleaner, and this is basically Tim. If Tim's not here, then Tim is going to be, and someone else is going to be standing in for this role, or the inventory manager may have to play both. He may be the cutter cleaner and the inventory manager, depending on how busy the day is. But they're the cutter cleaner is obviously the sharp edge of the wholesale team. He's handling the bulk cutting for pack lists and wholesale orders, and he's setting the standards for high yield cutting, efficient cutting, getting cutting done in a timely fashion, and cleaning up his workplace. So he's like the hygienic, sharp cutting badass in the processing room, making sure everything's happening in a timely way, in a clean way, and with high yields. Because everything we do selling fish has to do with this cutter cleaner. If they're not working efficiently or they're not getting good yield cuts, then the whole wholesale team is going to be kind of off from that. So it starts with this point. And after the processing day is done, then the cutter cleaner is going to report to the inventory manager like, what's up? What's my next deal? Am I going to be a point guard? Am I going to be an order packer? Am I going to clean up some extra stuff outside the cutting room? And so that cutter cleaner is going to report to that guy after his cutting responsibilities for the day is through. But when that cutter cleaner comes in, that inventory manager should have his daily routine ready to rock. So he should have some sort of game plan for him, orders packed, fish ready to go. So within 5-10 minutes of that cutter clocking in, after he's got his knives sharp, he's dressed out, stressed out, or stretched out for the day, he's getting that knife and that fish and getting going. So the responsibilities of the cutter cleaner, they're processing any seafood needed for retail, wholesale, or pack lists at the direction of the inventory manager. He's keeping his knives sharp, retail and wholesale. He's looking through all of our knives, making sure we're in good shape. And he's keeping a clean, hygienic processing room. And then after that role is done, he's moved anything at the discretion of the inventory manager or lead buyer to get the day done. And the goals of that job is high yield, sharp cuts, always leaving the processing room cleaner than you found it, bringing a positive attitude to the day to assist your team. So you're helping out with everybody to make sure you bring that to the table. And then keep your hands and mind moving seafood forward until your shift is over and inventory manager lets you go. So let's move on to the next role. Daily Retail Manager. The Daily Retail Manager is responsible for all of Seaview Crab Company's daily engagement with the public. He is responsible for impeccable customer service, expert seafood displays, moving inventory, and coaching and closing the market for the day. His most important role is to grow the retail business through marketing, special orders, wholesale to the public, and general customers walking through that door. He's responsible for the cleanliness and customer engagement in the retail zone, and he works with the daily inventory manager and the lead buyer to create daily, weekly, monthly sales strategies and goals. This is pretty much Zach's main role, but when he's not here, we have other people standing in for that. And everything that goes on, whether it's signs in the retail, or even if he's not necessarily the point guard taking every customer, but he's responsible for making sure somebody is in that role. And so we want to get to the point where this retail manager is managing point guards, but if he's the only one in there, he is doing that. That's part of his role. If he's gets, he's got a point guard working with him, then he's looking over the inventory. He's forwarding, keeping your displays right, making sure the retail day is running smoothly and customers are getting served quickly and effectively. So he's responsible for all customer interactions in retail. When I say that, means not he's doing it, but making sure it's happening. That's special orders, that's customer service, that's seafood information displayed through any sign we have in the retail, etc. And part of that is training his people. I mean, he's got to be able to train the people that are going to be talking to customers as well. So he's responsible for them as much as he's actually responsible for the customers. And so that retail guy is constantly training people to be better fishmongers and having a better, smarter, faster, more efficient retail. The goals of this position is to grow the retail business, and that's just through marketing, through special orders, through getting anyone that's buying in wholesale through the retail. He's growing that business, and then he's also growing and maintaining a smart, seafood-minded, customer-centric retail culture through coaching and engagement. And when I say that, I mean every retail's got its own culture. Whether you're working at a roadside stand here, you're working at our market in Carolina Beach, or you're working at our market here in Marsteller, and when I look and see, hey, are people moving their hands in the retail? I'm going to go to the retail manager because he's the one setting the pace in that retail. He's setting the service in that retail. He's setting what displays look like in that retail, and he's training his team as well as executing himself to those goals. And so the buck stops with the retail, the buck stops with the daily retail manager. So let's move on to the next. Lead buyer. Okay, this is pretty much Craig, so we're talking about Craig right now. Lead buyer is ultimately responsible for all daily fish house activities. So if you all want to wonder why Craig is stressing out all the time or is walking around with a stress head, it's because he's taking responsibility for everything that's going on underneath him. And he's the lead buyer. So he's running the paces. If we don't have fish, we don't have clams, we don't have oysters, we got nothing going on. So he brings the workload onto the fish house and is in charge of distributing it out to retail, letting our wholesale accounts know, and he's keeping the whole stream of seafood in, moving quick and moving effectively so he can buy more. And his task is not to merely execute responsibilities. He must lead and direct his teams to effectively execute those tasks. So it's not on Craig. In fact, Craig's people he's talking to are our retail managers and our inventory managers, because those guys, he's giving them the game plans and the need to know so that they can do their job well. Um, but he must be quick to help where he's needed. So if you know what, if there is a busy day or something and he's got something he doesn't have the right staff, he's going to jump in, and that's the type of leader. That's why Craig's in that position that he's in, because he is that type of leader. But he's also mindful enough to allow his team to do their own work. He's got to be able to say, look, you guys got to solve problems so you can get your own successes and failures. He's there to help, but he's not there to do the work for everybody. When the market is busier than he anticipates, he's jumping into the most effective roles. But when the market's slower than anticipated, he's directing his inventory managers and retail managers to make use of their time to get us ahead. And he's always challenging his team to take responsibility for their day's work. So part of this rebuilding of the company is to basically delegate responsibility to all the people, all the different roles in our company, so that we can have someone who's leading the top charge have some distance to understand, so he can see things from a coach level perspective and not somebody in the game and coaching the game at the same time. Um, but I look at this lead buyer as not only the lead buyer, but the lead coach. And he's leading through example and through coaching directly to his teammates. And his responsibility is pretty much all daily operations of the seafood market. If he's not there, there's inventory managers, retail managers that are standing for him, but ultimately the buck stops there. Management of the day, or really the buck stops with me, Nathan, and Sam, but he is standing in for our particular Marsteller market and all the dynamics of that. He's coaching young team members to become great fishmongers. We're only as good as our most basic or our newest assistants, because we'll get to their role next. But he fills in gaps in personnel or wherever he finds them, and then tries to solve problems for the team so that those gaps don't continue to be a problem. His main goal is to maximize sales growth, retail, wholesale. Anyway, we're selling seafood, he's bringing it in. So he's making sure all of the teams that sell and distribute these products understand what they are and how to sell them. He's maximizing buying opportunities. So Craig is on the phone from people from North Carolina, Virginia, down to Miami and Boston, trying to find the best opportunities for our company here in Wilmington. And he also is in charge of team cultural growth at Marsteller. So he's trying to encourage smart teamwork, positive team synchronization, and a more professional workplace. So let's move on to the next role. All right, these are the positions we're going to be hiring. All right, and these are going to be people we can add into the morning and to the afternoon to assist with the daily operations. But these people are not going to know what to do, so they need to know who to report to and how we're going to use them in for the process. So basically, these AM and PM assistants are going to be accountable to my inventory managers in the morning and to my retail managers in the afternoon. And if they come in really early, they begin accountable to the AM1 opener. But they're going to need to be selected and directed so that they're doing the most smart things to push the day forward. And they're the pistons of the fish house. They're the daily labor that makes things flow. They don't know exactly how we're working. They're going to get trained, so they're going to be soaking up information as they go. But they got to be. If we're not driving them to stay busy, we're in the wrong, not them. And if they're not if they don't work how they're supposed to work, then they can't work at Seaview Crab Company. So we're testing them as much as we're utilizing them to get the day done. This role should stay busy. If I come in and see any of these assistants not focused doing something, I'm going to go right to my inventory manager or my retail guys. Like, why is this guy not doing what he's supposed to do? Or this girl, why is she not busy doing something? They should always be learning to anticipate what the next step is, and always looking to their leader for the day to make sure they're in line with what they're supposed to be doing. And if they're in doubt, they should be asking questions so they know how to work harder or smarter to see what's next. They're the ultimate utilitarian in the fish house. When I say utilitarian, they should be able to do all the basic work of the fish house. And we're working to get a basic 10 skills necessary for this job so that they know exactly what they need to learn how to do to be most useful here at the fish house. And that's going to be things like cleaning coolers, icing retails, resetting up things, getting crabs, culling through crabs, culling oysters, packing fish, bringing fish to a place, deep cleaning reefers, deep cleaning the pack room, cleaning trucks, anything that we need them to do to prioritize for the day. And that goes right in their responsibilities. AM setup, order packing, cleaning, retail, those things I've already talked about. And we're also going to be judging, can they keep a positive can-do attitude, and are they quick to take task direction? If these positions they're not quick to act, or they're slow, or they roll their eyes at any task direction, they can't work here. They've got to be quick to do and quick to listen and be eager to learn. So their goals in this role is always leave the fish house better than you found it. It should be cleaner, more organized, more customer friendly, or more positive after one of these assistants works a shift. They should anticipate what their first, second, and third step is in helping the daily activities of the fish house. They may not need that. They may need task direction for a while until they understand, but their goal was to be second nature so that these inventory managers or retail managers are not going to need to direct them. So you're direct them at first, but our goal for them is to learn how to direct themselves, because they need to be starting anticipating what's the most important priority that they can help out for the day. And they need to be keeping their eyes and ears open so that they can learn what's going on around them, soaking up seafood knowledge so they can become more useful. The more they get into it, maybe they can become a point guard, or they can become a cutter assistant, or help out. The next step is if they became trustworthy and they could do all the jobs, we felt good about them, we'll put them in there as an AM1 to open up the fish house. But these are the positions we're going to be hiring for, and I'm going to need everybody's help to make sure we bring them online in the most useful ways. So let's go ahead on to conclusion. Conclusions are this. I really want to appreciate everyone. I know, y'all see me running around trying to, get our fish house moving better, and that means we got to change. That means we got to add new things, play with new roles, because we can't stay the same and grow. We have to grow into new systems in order to make the work easier and smarter and faster. And we all want to grow, so this is part of growing pains. What I can ask of you guys when you clock in, to be mindful of what your role is, know your responsibilities, and if you're playing a role that someone else will direct you, allow them to direct you. In fact, seek out direction so that we can play these roles. We got to kind of fake it before you make it. And next, follow your checklist. The two things that we're going to be working on is the daily fish house checklist and the daily side work. And every day is going to have that. You're going to have to execute that checklist according to your role. And then every day is going to have AM and PM side work. And in that checklist, it'll tell you, hey, verify that you did your AM checklist for your day. And that's part of the daily checklist. And the other thing is inventories. We got to check our inventories and make sure everybody's in the know. We're going to find common places so people can check the inventory for the day, and also check out the retail plan for the day. That will help us keep everybody on the same page without having to communicate verbally. Be flexible in this new system. It's going to change. This is the step one, and as the weeks go by, we're going to probably be changing side work, adjusting the daily checklist so that we make it better and better for the team. And just remember that evolution and growth requires a little chaos to give birth to bigger and better opportunities, and that's what we're going through right now. Just stay in tune with your roles, responsibilities, and goals, because remember, they're the building blocks of great companies. Let me get back to look at you guys. I appreciate this. This is a lot to take in. Rewind if you need to look at what a goal means. Keep this as video on your phone, your text message. So if you're not sure what's up, like what's my role today? Okay, cool. I'm the AM1 guy, so I got to check my daily checklist. There's my stuff. Here's my goals. Here's my roles. Boom, we're good to go. I'm going to post these written as well somewhere in the fish house, but I wanted to get this to you guys. Appreciate you listening, and give me a 10-4 copy on the text message after you've listened to this. And when you see me next, or you see Craig or Brennan or Brian or really everybody should be talking about this, so we can get the most out of it and make the right changes as we progress through this system. So I appreciate it, guys, and thanks for everything. We'll talk to you later.